2, and 1, and we are live. Hello, everyone out there in Facebook land. This is Andrew Berman. I got my buddy Paul Lucido over there in California connecting. If you're not familiar with what we do here, basically this is our little forum where Paul and I do a deep dive into Jay Doran's 30 Days of Thought. 30 Days of Thought is a book actually that has these chapters that allow you to do some self-exploration of your mind. You read the chapter, you write some notes about the chapter, and then you record a video. Paul and I have been on a quest to become comfortable with being uncomfortable, and we've chosen Jay Doran's 30 Days of Thought to be our medium to make that happen. Today's passage is going to be reflect and release, and to kick this off, I will give you just the abstract from the chapter. Reflect and release. With comprehension comes knowing, and to know is to release. Reflect and release. And Paul, would love you to kick it off.
Yeah, I'm going to give it a try. First of all, I just noticed we don't have our microphones this time.
Oh, shoot. Oh.
Where's my microphones, Andrew, for crying out loud? Okay, so I'm going to get into this a little bit. And this one was a kind of an interesting one. It kind of spoke with me. There we go. Boom. We're good. Now we got our 30 Days of Thought books.
Testing for proper modulation. Modulation.
1, 2, 3. Okay, so let's get serious for a minute. This is Reflect and Release. And one of the things that I highlighted here, I'm just going to literally read this right off of what Jay wrote. It says, release the burden of ignorance and the pain in fear. All weights of ignorance burning down on this wanderer starts to glide off his shoulders. The smug looks of competition fall off as their visualizations are perturbed by new posture this man exudes. Okay, so as I was reading this, I was trying to really get the idea where Jay is coming from. Many of us go through states in our life where we're wondering about things, where we actually are questioning our own actions. Perhaps, are we good enough? We start to second guess, and that just leads to more and more ignorance. What needs to happen is you do need to examine. You do need to dig a little deeper, and you need to, surround yourself with information and other people that could help bring something and open a new door for you in your life, create a new chapter. For example, there was a piece here. He said something, a man who does not know what he does not know, that he is but a wanderer. Okay, the way I read that, it was kind of a little bit weird, but then with a flash of brilliance, change occurs. Something or someone crosses his path, be it a book, experience, possibility, or a guide. And that new piece of, is in his puzzle, gives life, gives his life the opportunity. And then, of course, he can explore his wildest dreams above and beyond. Look, continuing to educate yourself, continuing to examine things going forward helps reveal more and more to you. That's how we continue to discover ourselves. When I think about wondering, sometimes it makes me think about back to daydreaming, like we talked about in the previous episode, or being reflective, reflective with your thoughts, as one would say. But in my opinion, this is about trying to get past the idea of second guessing yourself or feeling like you are less than. And understanding that there is a brilliance there. It just has to be uncovered. You have to start believing in yourself. Let's leave it at that. And I'd like to hear some dialogue from you, some discussion from you, Andrew, and then we can kind of navigate this a little bit.
So, well, I'm gonna start off. I'm gonna want to read my my notes. So we get wrapped up in our mind. Self-doubt permeates. Our minds get consumed until there's a breakthrough. And the opportunity kind of presents itself in a way we weren't able to previously see. We're working on a problem, whatever that issue is, whatever the opportunity is. All of a sudden, the clouds clear away and brings a clear skies and smooth sailing. We're like our genius is there. We get sucked in, saying we're shitty. We're not good at what we do. I use the example of you come up with some great campaigns. Your locomotive campaign, before you came up with that, there was probably a point actually where what am I going to do? Well, how am I going to think of how am I going to top? Because especially in your position as chief marketing officer, for a multi-channeled, huge mortgage bank like PRMG, every campaign has to be better than the last. And you have this unbelievable pressure to do this every time. And I got to imagine that there's that this self-doubt comes in, where you start to actually question your skills and ability, and all of a sudden that idea hits, and then this is just this hits. I mean, do you feel that does that happen to you, or am I reading into this too much?
No, I think your example's good. I mean, look, we all have moments where the well is a little bit dry. Writers have writer block. Athletes have, as well as people on stage have performance anxiety. This is natural. This is going to happen. Sometimes the nerves get the best of us, but sometimes the creative well is dry. And I've talked about this with Jay Doran in past podcast interviews, as well as in some of these other episodes we've done. I think all of us, regardless of our craft, we hit a point like that. But I've learned to, over the years, to trust in my instincts and know that it will come. That's why I go back to the get up, walk away, and come back to it. Sometimes it takes that. You have to relieve yourself of it for momentarily and then come back, and all of a sudden the ideas may start to flow. Sometimes they do not. In the case of the little engine that you're talking about, that idea was more of paying homage to kind of where our company started from in humble beginnings to where we are accelerating to and having velocity along with that. And so I thought that was just kind of an interesting way of telling people, it's kind of a humble brag, but it also pays homage to a story, the story behind PRMG. That's not to say that we're not a company that's on the brink of technology and we're doing a lot of great things. All those are byproducts of where we're going. Of course, you're going to hear a lot more about digital marketing, which is kind of what we're doing here and now, and different ways of doing that. But the actual story was something that I wanted to get across, and I've done that now. And now everybody can kind of partake in that and understand it and feel good about it. So it's not so much as trying to sell something as it is to pay homage to who we are and where we're going and what we're about to become. And we've had some great moments. And as my boss Paul Rosso always says, when the tide starts to rise, all boats rise. Okay, there are a lot of other companies that have done extremely well. You guys know who you are out there. Okay, let's rewind back to the point. The point is, sorry, I didn't mean to get on a tangent. Got on a PRMG freight train for a second there.
I kind of turned us that way. I was in the I forget the switch house, and I sat down to a set of rails.
Change, right? So look, we all go through that. Of course I go through that. My daughter's an editor, and she goes through that. There are these moments where all of a sudden it's just not coming to you. But I think independently of questioning your craft, I think this goes deeper. This is about questioning you as an individual, worthiness, acceptance. And you said it earlier, I like what you said, self-doubt. I think that's a real killer right there. You've got to get past the self-doubt. You've got to know that you are good enough. And at the end of the day, that there is a brilliance in all of us, a genius, as Jay likes to call it, that we can put, that's there, that we have to potentially unlock. So that's kind of what I got out of this. I mean, I could probably go on a little more, but it's reflecting and releasing. So reflect, and then release that baggage. Back to that. Let it go.
Yeah.
Let it go.
don't hold that baggage. Don't actually let go of that self doubt, because that self doubt does nothing. It's not going to help you. It's not going to. It's just it's going to be a cancer. It's going to dig you deeper. Like you said, using your example, walk away, and then come back to it. But do whatever you need to do to let go of that. There you go. As my buddy Henry, execution success. Henry, you don't know, actually, your conversation with me the other night. Whoa. Henry is one of my best friends in the entire world. Or my best friend in the entire world. Like, he's definitely, for many, many years, has been my best friend in the entire world. We had a conversation the other night. Man, it was a weird night, and Henry was there for me in a way that I can't even explain. So, Henry, thank you for joining us.
I think that says volumes about you, Mr. Novello. So, look, at the end of the day, we all have to take inventory, right? And that's what this is about. It's taking inventory of all that stuff, back to the stuff pushed down deep into the basement, back to different experiences that we've had throughout our lives, different interactions. All these things add up, and all these things contribute to who we are. They're the sum of we are the sum of our experiences, as people say. So you've got to reflect on this stuff. I go back to something we said before. I think wondering is a healthy thing. There's nothing wrong with wondering. And wondering leads to other thoughts. I mean, back to the whole idea of Einstein, who would do these thought experiments. Some people might call it daydreaming. But those kinds of things could lead to other manifestations, as we like to say. So it is important to reflect. It is important to assess your experiences and your thoughts. But then at the same time, it's very important to cut some things loose, especially as you gain more information. That's partly what Jay is saying. There are other people that come into your life and reveal things to you that you may not have, you've been ignorant to. You just didn't know what it was. Yeah. And all of a sudden now a whole new world, a whole new chapter opens up. Remember the lion that was trapped in the cage? He was basically, his whole world was just that cage where he had control, but he didn't realize there was a whole other world beyond the cage that existed that he had no knowledge of. It goes back to Plato in the cave. It's the same thing, okay? All they were seeing was the shadows on the wall, and that was their reality until somebody broke free, went out, and literally experienced light and came back and said, you wouldn't believe there's a whole other world out there, which nobody believed him, right?
Yeah.
So it's constant exploration.
Yeah.
It's constant exploration.
Yeah.
And I mean that more in a metaphorical kind of way. So,
or listen, to borrow into another chapter, being approachable. The idea of being approachable, of allowing somebody, to influence and just having those conversations with strangers, with people actually, that, you don't have to talk to. There's no reason to talk to, the person sitting in line with you, but having those conversations. You never know when that person is going to inspire some thoughts and allow you to go deeper into your mind.
No, totally. And, I think most of us go through these phases in our life. We all go through it, regardless of your age. I always say you never really arrive. You're always arriving. It's just one milestone after another. And benchmarks are set along the way, right? There are certain benchmarks. But then once you hit that benchmark, all of a sudden it goes back to milestones again to set the next benchmark. And, I'm a big proponent of continual education, self-education, if you can do it. I know Jay is that way. Being autodidactic is a good thing. I've listened to enough podcasts and a lot of really successful people out there, guys like Brad Lee and a few others that have achieved great successes through perseverance, through believing in themselves, shedding that baggage and going, I could be more. And these people are testaments to that. There are many of them out there. So, yeah, have some self-confidence. I think it's a big one. And some self-esteem. Okay.
Very cool.
I think that's about all I got, brother, on this particular subject. Be happy to
I think we hit it. I think this is good. I think we nailed it. I mean, that's the best thing about this. There's no right or wrong way. Jay Doran actually does his own style of the way he captures this. There's tons of people out there that are recording 30 days of thought, taking it in their own way. There's no right way. There's no wrong way. I would argue actually probably some of the things that Jay's interpretations of his own chapter is probably wrong. So there's no wrong. There's no wrong. It's all actually it's up to you, the reader.
And I think that's what the book was intended for. The book is intended to help you have your own opinion, your own self-discovery, find your own truth. I mean, if you read everything he's written, and we've written, this is probably, I think this is our 23rd chapter, I believe, episode. But it's actually the second episode for what we call season 2 of 30 Days of Thought. So we're continuing this. I want to do more with this. I got some ideas up my sleeve where we can take this. But at the end of the day, for those of you guys that are listening, actually paying attention to what we're talking about, the book really, it's a highly philosophical book. It's open to interpretation, but it gets you thinking about things that you most likely are not really giving much thought to. And so Jay has kind of become, I'll give him the badge, the modern day philosopher. I think that's what Christine Beckwith said in one of her podcasts. Modern day philosophers out there, and it's kind of fun, and it opens up for more life experiences for everybody. So.
Yeah, fantastic. And Henry, Amazon, there's no audio book because the book is literally meant so you can read a chapter, write a passage about the chapter, and then from there you record a video. But I will I'll send you the link. So, all right, man. Do you want to pick another chapter for our next episode?
I normally would, but I don't have the book in front of me today, so I'm going to let you do those honor.
Fantastic. All right, let's see. I'm going to look. Now, do we want to go back to do one actually that we've done already? And now that we have a little bit under our, I feel like I've almost going back, to our some of our original ones, LOVE. There are things I feel like we can go back and learn from what we've already done.
Well, there was one that I thought we did. There was one called Industrial Age, and the other one was called Information Age. And I think we actually did Information Age, if I remember. Therefore, I'd be curious to go and visit maybe Industrial Age was one that I remembered that he talked about. Now, there are a few that he's doing too, where he reads right out of his book. Jay's like on chapter 60 or something. Yeah. He's done so many of them. But we'll leave that to Jay. You and I'll have the conversation. Jay can do the one-on-one with his audience. So that breaks it up. And Jimmy DeLay is doing his version, which he's done a great job. I know Jay is very proud of Jimmy and what he's been doing. So I think Industrial Age would be kind of an interesting twist. We've been doing a lot that speaks to lately about reflecting, about releasing, about letting go of the stuff in the basement. We've talked, about anything that just involves that self-discovery piece. So I'm curious what Industrial Age might actually mean. So
yeah. So my buddy Chris Donnan, one of my deepest thinkers of one of my deepest thinkers of friends. Chris, great seeing you on here.
Cool.
The man, what an amazing story. Self-taught himself, actually, his skill, it's phenomenal. Was a musician, became actually a programmer. It's an amazing story. But anyway, so we will do information. Industrial Age, right?
Yes.
Industrial Age. We'll do it for the next one. Super excited about that. Thank you so much for watching. If you follow the Lucido and Berman hashtag, you can capture all of our other episodes either on Facebook or on YouTube. All posted everywhere. So on that note, we're going to close this out. Everyone, have a great day.